I just figured out Doctor Doom's origin story in the MCU and how it all connects back to our Tony Stark from Earth 616. I'm going to walk you through how this theory has been hiding in plain sight since the very beginning. From the moment Robert Downey Jr. auditioned as Doctor Doom in 2005, to his casting as Tony Stark just a few years later, to his terrifying vision in Age of Ultron, to Kang's manipulation of the sacred timeline, to the Russo brothers themselves said they found a way to bring RDJ back in a meaningful way. And later in the video, I'm going to show you one piece of evidence that no one is talking about.
Let's get straight to it.
In the mid-credits scene of the Fantastic Four First Steps, there's something strange. And I don't mean Franklin Richards reaching out to Dr. Doom. I mean what Doom is holding in his hand, the mask. It's not the classic Doom look, it's missing the signature bolts. The cheek vents are different. The top is rounded, almost like a welding mask. It doesn't scream medieval armor, it screams Mark I Iron Man. Seriously, go compare it side by side with the suit Tony built in that cave. The resemblance is almost impossible to ignore. Now, maybe this was intentional, or maybe it's just a creative design decision. Because the more I dug into this, the more it pointed to one wild but increasingly believable idea: RDJ's Tony Stark might not be Tony Stark at all, or at least not the one we thought he was. What if his character was never meant to be a pure version of Tony? What if RDJ's Tony Stark was actually a variant of Victor Von Doom, one who was adopted by the Stark family in his youth, raised under Howard Stark's watch, but still carrying that intensity, that god complex, that desire for control? Think about it. Remember Avengers Endgame? That quiet but deeply emotional moment between Tony and his father, Howard Stark. Howard mentions the labor, and Tony looks confused, almost like he's hearing about it for the first time.
My wife's expecting, and too much time at the office. Congratulations.
At the time, you probably brushed it off as just emotional awkwardness, a son hearing about his own birth from a father he barely knew. What if the real reason Tony was confused is because he wasn't actually born that day? What if the Starks did have a child, and that child died? And what if, in their grief, they adopted someone else? That someone was Victor Von Doom. Suddenly, it all adds up. That's why the dates don't line up. That's why Tony always seemed like an outsider, even in his own family. And this is exactly why Marvel didn't show a superior Iron Man in Multiverse of Madness. Because he looks different. Because in every other universe, Tony Stark does not look like the 616 Tony. Tony and Doom have eerily similar traits: unmatched intelligence, a reliance on technology, a fragile ego wrapped in steel. Tony calls himself a futurist. Doom calls himself a savior. Both built suits to shield themselves from the world. The only difference is the path they took. And Marvel loves redemption and corruption arcs. This opens the door for both. RDJ's return isn't just fan service, it's the reveal that his entire story was part of something much bigger. Here's my theory. What if, in the universe of Fantastic Four, Victor Von Doom didn't become Dr. Doom because he was inherently evil, but because he never had the right people around him to pull him back from the edge? Think about it. In our main MCU timeline, Tony Stark was a genius, billionaire, futurist, but he was also impulsive, arrogant, and dangerously close to villain territory more times than we like to admit. What kept him grounded wasn't his morality, it was Nick Fury, Pepper, the Avengers, a purpose bigger than himself. But what if that guidance never came? Let's revisit some of Tony's darkest moments. Iron Man 1. After announcing to the world that he's Iron Man, Tony's recruited by Nick Fury into something bigger, the Avengers Initiative.
Nick Fury, Director of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm here to talk to you about the Avenger Initiative.
Age of Ultron. Tony creates Ultron. Let's not sugarcoat it. He literally builds the villain that almost destroys the world. He thought he was saving humanity, but his unchecked ambition almost ended it.
No, he won't.
You don't know what you're talking about. Stark's not crazy.
He will do anything to make things right.
Civil War. He's not the hero here. He's the antagonist. He pushes for the Sokovia Accords, he hunts down Steve and Bucky, and he's completely driven by trauma and guilt. Endgame. At first, Tony wants no part in fixing the snap. He's content living in peace while half the universe suffers. It's only after a deep emotional shift that he joins the mission.
Now, we have a chance to bring her back, to bring everyone back. And you're telling me that you won't even...
That's right, Scott, I won't even.
The truth is, Tony Stark's arc was always a balancing act. One nudge in the wrong direction, and he would have become a Doom-level threat. So imagine a universe, Earth 828, where Tony's brilliance wasn't tempered by friendships or purpose. No Steve Rogers, no Peter Parker, no Fury. Let's not gloss over the words that started raising eyebrows everywhere. New mask, same task. That's what Robert Downey Jr. said when rumors of him returning began to swirl.
New mask. Same task.
At first, it just seemed like a cool little tease. Back in 2005, Robert Downey Jr. actually auditioned to play Doctor Doom in Fox's original Fantastic Four. He didn't get the role, but imagine how full circle this is now.
And I remember you had all met with him already for like Doctor Doom or something on another project. I think I think he had come through on a maybe Fantastic Four.
Right.
According to reliable industry insiders, Marvel has already begun early talks about RDJ continuing as Doctor Doom after Secret Wars. That alone tells you this isn't a one-off cameo. This is a long game, a serious, strategic pivot. And then there's Feige. Kevin Feige has already admitted publicly that Tony Stark and Steve Rogers will be recast in the future. He didn't say when, just that it's inevitable. But think about the implications. The Russo brothers even said that the story they're working on would challenge the audience's mind. Not hearts, not just emotions, minds.
We found a way into the story that's very exciting to us, but we think very radical. And I think it's going to challenge audiences.
Now here's where the plot gets even darker and way more calculated. If Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark is actually a variant of Victor Von Doom, then none of this was a coincidence. Not the adoption, not the timing, not even Tony becoming Iron Man. Because someone was pulling the strings long before the Avengers ever assembled, and that someone is He Who Remains, aka Kang. Think about what we learned in Loki. Kang was pruning timelines, trimming away threats, cutting down any version of reality where someone too powerful might rise up and challenge him. And who's the most dangerous person in the multiverse? It's not Kang, it's Victor Von Doom. Victor has always been one step away from becoming either the greatest savior or the most terrifying god in Marvel history. So what does Kang do? He makes sure Victor never becomes Doom. He orchestrates a reality where Victor is adopted by Howard and Maria Stark, grows up as Tony Stark, and never discovers his full potential. No Latveria, no sorcery, no mask. Just flashy tech, some trauma, and a whole lot of distractions. It's the ultimate long game. Hide your biggest threat in plain sight. But here's the twist. In Avengers Doomsday, we might finally be seeing Kang's greatest fear come true. Doom is starting to wake up. The variant he tried to bury, the one he tried to mold into a billionaire playboy philanthropist, starting to remember who he really is. This explains why the multiverse is collapsing, why incursions are happening, why timelines are rebelling. Because Kang's little secret is unraveling. Let's go back to that haunting post-credit scene in Fantastic Four First Steps. Doom, mask off. Franklin Richards reaches out and gently touches his face. No panic, no fear, no explanation. Why? Because this version of Doom isn't some mysterious outsider. He's from Earth 828, the same universe as the Fantastic Four, and he has a history with them, one Marvel deliberately left unexplored. Not because they forgot, but because they're saving it for something much bigger. Here's what I think happened. While the Fantastic Four were busy battling Galactus, Doom wasn't just hiding in Latveria, he was exploring the multiverse, watching the fractures, studying the incursions. And somewhere along the way, he likely stumbled upon Earth 616, the world where Tony Stark died. Now imagine you're Doom. You've seen your own universe nearly collapse. You've watched Galactus arrive, you've witnessed timelines crashing into each other. And then you find a universe where the Avengers are leaderless, fractured, and desperate. A perfect opportunity to strike. But how do you convince Earth's mightiest heroes to trust you? You don't show up as Victor Von Doom. You show up wearing a familiar face, one they already loved, one they miss. RDJ's Doom isn't just a villain, he's a manipulator. And that's why he needs Franklin. Not just for his cosmic powers, but to heal his face, to earn his trust, and to perfect the illusion. The illusion that Tony Stark has returned. And that brings us back to this. Marvel didn't skip over that backstory by accident. They're saving it. Because revealing it now would give away too much. This Doom isn't just a new villain stepping into the light. He's the ghost they buried. The mistake they never talked about. The war that already started behind closed doors. And if he's from Earth 828, it means everything. The Galactus attack, the political power plays, the empty Latveria chair at the UN is part of his master plan. Doom didn't just survive, he evolved. Quietly, patiently. And now he's returned with one goal: total multiversal control.